Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, and welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders, man. Appreciate everybody being in here. Football is here, ladies and gentlemen. It is finally here. We don't have to wait, for any more rumors. We don't have to deal with what conference realignment. We don't have to deal with house settlement payout. We don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Right now, all we care about is football. And it is happening, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, on week 0. The Big 12 is kicking off everything. This is the game of the week for college football, but this is the Big 12 Insiders game of the week, Iowa State versus Kansas State. We're going to break everything down on that. But before we do, remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments section. Tell us what you do and don't like, but always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content is coming out. Man, I'm just excited. I am. Football. I know I sound crazy like squirrel, football. That's me. It's just I cannot wait for this to get started. And look, the Big 12 week 0, this is a big weekend for the Big 12. It really is. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about some of the games. First, there's two. Kansas hosts Fresno State. Kansas opens up their new stadium. Fresno State is not going to be a pushover. They're favored by 12.5. The Fresno, they've got a new team, had a lot of transfers, but we'll see what happens. Fresno is not usually a pushover, but new team, new circumstances, a lot of on the road, a lot of hoopla going on with KU. KU should be better. I'm expecting them to win that game pretty. I don't know. I should say pretty handily. I would probably take the over on this if I was a betting man, but I wouldn't say that it's going to be more than 14 points. I would say anywhere between the 13-14 point margin. So that's where I was at. But as far as the game of the week, if you want to watch football, college football, at 11 a.m. on Saturday, you have to watch Iowa State versus Kansas State. It's a huge showcase, not only for both teams. It's absolutely a showcase for both teams. But it's also for the conference. And let me just kind of break this down a little bit. And I've said this on some other shows that we've done, is that first off, it needs to be a good game. And if it's a good game, then it tells the country, hey, you know what? They're playing some good football out there. Look how good Kansas State and Iowa State are. Now, they have to back that up with being good throughout the season. Okay. I feel like both of these teams are going to do that this year. Obviously, anything can happen, but I feel like that's going to happen, that both teams are going to have good seasons. Okay. But the thing about it is that because when you start beating each other, which eventually that's going to happen, and obviously in every conference, Big 12, the same thing, you have to go be able to look and say, so-and-so beat Iowa State, and we saw Iowa State, and they were good. So-and-so beat Kansas State. We watched Kansas State. We know that they're good. So it's the eye of the beholder. Perception is reality, so it needs to be a good football game. If it's a blowout one way or another, the team that does the blowing out, okay, yes, they're going to get some pub because they beat another team. But if either of these teams does get blown out, the team that gets crushed, well, how good is that going to look? And then moving forward, it's like, well, how good were they? And the Big 12 doesn't get the benefit of the doubt of, well, it was just a bad game. They don't get that benefit of the doubt. So that's why I'm saying it needs to be a good football game, a spotlight game on the conference. It's huge. It's huge. College football playoff, maybe not necessarily implications because it's so early, but eye openers. Let's call it college football playoff eye openers. Two good teams, a good football game. Okay. If it's a stinker, then these two teams aren't very good because that's the perception. That's what people are going to say. You can't give them an opportunity, and I say them, the media, to shut you out, or the college football playoff committee to shut you out. Got to be a good football game. Let's get into it. To me, the old adage of the line of scrimmage, and I'm an old offensive lineman, got to win the line of scrimmage. Whoever controls the line of scrimmage is going to win. I know it's a cliche. I know everybody says that. But I feel that way, and the reason being is because of what two teams – I think both teams are going to run the football. I also think both teams are going to try to get the ball down the field. Well, to be able to do that, you got to protect. It's not just, hey, you snap the ball back to the quarterback. He's in the shotgun. He just stands back there all day, waits for receivers to get downfield and throws it. You got to be able to protect, But they also are going to try to run the football, both teams. Well, you got to be able to block. You got to be able to move somebody against their will. You got to be able to do those kinds of things. So, having said all of that, there's an opportunity here. There is absolutely an opportunity for both teams. Look, to control the line of scrimmage. Quarterback play is going to be key. Look, both teams believe that their quarterback is the best in the conference. Kansas State believes that Avery Johnson is the best in the conference. Iowa State believes that Rocco Beck is the best of the conference. This is a rivalry game. It gets nasty. They get after each other. They don't like each other. This is exactly what you want on the first weekend or the first game of the college football season. And somehow the Big 12, I think it's after 2027, doesn't believe that this game should move on any further. I'm like, huh? What? Like, what are you talking about? Now, again, it's not going to end, but they're not going to play each other for a couple of years, which that makes no sense. I mean, literally no sense. There's still time. The Big 12 can fix it. And maybe with enough pushback, the Big 12 will fix it. But how is Iowa State not playing K-State every year? Like, why wouldn't that be one of the games? And I know K-State has a rival with KU too. You can't play two teams every year? Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong. That needs to happen. They got to fix that because this is a big deal for both teams. Farmageddon. I never really got into the Farmageddon thing, but it fits. It absolutely fits. And I just want to see some good football. Like I said, both quarterbacks, both teams, and both fan bases believe their guy is the best. You're not winning any Heismans the first week of the season. You're not winning the Big 12 the first week of the season. And you're not even losing the Big 12 the first week of the season. So I don't want to sit here and say, oh, man, you got to win the game, because otherwise, but it does put you behind the eight ball. You lose. That's a game. Number one, it's a loss, and it's a loss in conference. I mean, it's tough the first game of the year. You're going to see some mistakes. We're going to see some first game mistakes. That's the reason that most of the time teams don't play this caliber of competition the first game of the year. Most of the time, they wait. They have a tune-up game. But it is what it is. I can't be more excited, to be honest with you. I cannot be more excited for this football game because I think it's a big game. First of all, it hasn't really gotten the pub that some of the other games in week one have gotten, but I think it should. I don't know why it wouldn't. I have no idea why it wouldn't. It should get the same type of pub. I'm going to be watching. I know you guys are going to be watching. Let's break down, the lines here. K-State's favored by 3. Over under, I believe it's 51.5 as of right now. Obviously, those things can change, but -3. I'm not a betting guy. I like talking about the odds, but I don't bet. I don't do that. That's just not my thing. But I think 3, if I were a betting guy, I'd take the over. But it isn't because I think K-State's going to blow them out. I've pictured this, and I've gone back and forth with Iowa State winning and Kansas State winning. But I think Kansas State's going to win the game. I think they're going to get out fast, and I think Iowa State's going to come back, and I even think Iowa State's going to take the lead, but I think K-State gets a late touchdown with 3 or 4 minutes left in the game, and then they're able to hold on at the end. Iowa State will turn the ball over on downs from like the 32-yard, K-State's 32-yard line, something like that, and K-State will end up winning the game 27-23. I think it's going to be a good football game. I think it's going to go back and forth, because, again, both teams well coached. Both teams have good rosters. Both teams think they can win the Big 12. That's why I think this is such a good game and such a marquee matchup, not only for both schools, but for the conference. It's important. It's just important. I've been stressing that, and some people have blown me up about it, saying it's not that big of a deal. I think it is that big of a deal for the conference. I do. Again, for the teams, it's a huge deal too. You're the only game on. What's a better recruiting tool than being the only game on TV? You want to watch college football, you have to watch us. Tune in and see how good we are. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that, people. So it's huge for both teams, man. But that's where I'm at with it. This is the game of the week. Iowa State, Kansas State in Dublin, Ireland, 11 a.m. on Saturday. I can't wait for this game. Cannot wait. So I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you as always. Football season's here. We're going to have a whole slew of stuff starting up next. It actually started this past week. We'll start it all over again next week with recap shows. We'll have our power rankings. Our first power rankings are going to come out on Tuesday. Everything is game week. Football, ladies and gentlemen. It's just football. Appreciate you, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.